Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Brandon, and welcome back to another AYDA Awards webinar series. Joining me today, I have Harshika, who have recently graduated from the Harvard Graduate School of Design. She is a Genosuke Obata Fellow. It's a program sponsored by Nippon Paint, and she's brilliant, and I can't wait to go deeper into what she's been working on and to share with you all her efforts and her dedication to the idea of climate change. Then joining us is also Dr. Sanem from the BETEC group, where her expertise is in ethics, which is the insulation part of the technology as part of the Nippon Paint umbrella. So welcome, Harshika. Welcome, Sanem. I'm really excited to have both of you. Maybe before we start, maybe both of you can introduce yourself a little bit. And what are you currently working on? Let's go with Harshika.
Sure. Just a quick introduction. My full name is Harshika Bisht. As Brandon mentioned, I just graduated. I pursued a degree called MDisk Ecologies at Harvard GSD. And the last 2 years, I've been working across scales. So my interests allow me to look between climate, architecture, and technology. And by across scales, I mean I look into materials, I look into buildings, I look at sometimes at urban scale, which can get very interesting. Yeah, and I'd love to show more of my work, but more to do that later. I'll
Thank,
pass it off to Sanem.
thank you, Harshika. Hi, Sanem.
Hello, I am Şenler Özbil from Istanbul, Turkey. I graduated from Istanbul Technical University with a bachelor's degree, and I'm actually a chemist. I then started my master's degree at the same university, and then before I got my master's, I got accepted from University of Miami for my PhD. Then I moved to Miami. Doing a PhD in Miami is different. You are obviously doing your PhD. That's the tough part, yes. But at the same time, you have a chance to swim at the Miami beach in the morning. And when it starts to get really hotter, you can go back to your lab for your PhD with a fresh mind. I received my PhD also in the field of chemistry. Then after graduation, I came back to Turkey. After a couple of months, I started working at BETEC in the R&D department. I was working as innovation specialist, and I was working on new projects, like new concepts for both paints and ethics. Then we used to have an accredited laboratory within BETEC, and I started working as a supervisor of this institute. We then transformed this institute to a research, training, and an experience center. Starting from the second half of 2019, I am working as product supervisor, responsible of both ethics and construction chemicals products and our scientific research and training center.
Thank you, Sanem and Harshika. So you guys can see, we brought this two on board to really talk about environmental problems and challenges that can be traced back to the use of energy and waste products, especially in the basically buildings, which is the urbanization and development of economy and all the impact traces and the footprints that we have left behind. So by understanding and putting the needs of the people with design, we want to create optimized comfort while maintaining the balance with environment, and of course, most importantly, protect our natural resources so that humanity can live another 100 years or more, hopefully longer than that. So as architects, designers, and also coding specialists, we have invited Sanem and Harshika to talk about how can we effectively reduce energy consumption, reduce our footprint, and that would lead to the expertise that both of them are involved in. And if you guys look at Harshika to Sanem, they are in a journey where Sanem completed a PhD. I don't know where Harshika is going next, but Harshika is definitely very interested in working in the field that she works with. So I think it's very important, even as be it you are a student, be it you are a practicing expert, like a specialist, or if you're a lecturer, So I feel personally, as a fellow educator as well, I think there's a lot of lacking in terms of access to information and technical expertise that is related to climate change, insulation, and innovation in campus all around the world. So I'll get back to Sanim in a bit, but Harshika, when you're in school, I mean, was it a common thing that people get that complete access to climate change? related kind of expertise? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Brandon. In my personal experience, during my undergraduate studies, there's only one subject that was really focused on climate studies, which was the climatology subject, where we were learning how to design passively, how to think about the local context, especially the climate, and trying to understand based on the weather patterns, how should we, if we should have double glazed windows or if we should have single glazed windows, if we should have them operable or non-operable. Like these kind of design decisions were being made based on our understanding of that subject. But having spoken to a lot of my colleagues, I've realized over time that that's not very common all across the globe, right? We still have buildings that are full glass facades that are happening in hot and humid climate zones, something that might not make direct sense. And then it puts a lot of pressure on the HVAC systems where they have to cool down the building to cater to the needs of the occupants inside. So these kind of loops actually make it very inefficient the way the buildings are designed. And it's better to kind of give that understanding to designers early on during their education and make them competent enough to make decisions that are more conscious to the environment, reduce our impact in general. And I think that is what is missing, I think, in the undergraduate studies level all across. And I would, even in my master's, I think there's very few that I would say specifically focus on building level, building science kind of topics, where they're looking at energy consumption specifically and looking at how they can optimize facade design or they can optimize building design in general in terms of massing, in terms of configuration, different configurations that can result in a better designed or maybe like an iteratively designed process. And I think for that, we can definitely have more resources, spread that knowledge. Hopefully this seminar is also attempting to do that and make the students aware that there are tools and technologies out there that they can use, even if it's not part of their curriculum, they can still use those resources to gain that kind of awareness.
Thanks, Harshika, for sharing. So yeah, that leads me to my curiosity, Sanem. When you're practicing with BETech and even during your PhD time, are people very well aware that where they can, like are the designers and architects that you work with, are they very aware of the kind of installation technology that you work with, or you have to like educate them like from A to Z? Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the practicing world like? Yeah.
Well, you know, education never ends, and also the generations are passing by. So just want to like divide the subject. Well, right now, I guess everybody is aware of the climate change and global climate crisis, and we can see the obvious results of the climate crisis. You know, especially with the year of 2022, with the unfortunate war between Ukraine and Russia, particularly Europe and all the world. Now we see the importance of energy. We all know that right now we have to save energy. We have to use the energy efficiently. At the same time, we all start to see the devastating natural disasters all over the world as a result of global warming. In many countries, the average temperatures start to see 50 degrees Celsius. Well, we have a lot of natural problems, and we can physically see the results of global warming. As a result, not only curious people or the people that are already aware of the problem, a lot of people start researching about these terrible issues. So we start to learn about these issues, but when we are talking about materials, so the solutions differ according to the regions. You know, the climate is different and the world is big. So there started to pop up many platforms collecting all the information about the materials and provide all these information, like very detailed technical information of the materials. They provide all these information to the architects, designers, contractors, like even the engineers, mechanical engineers or energy engineers. I hope these kind of platforms will receive the support they need to survive, because everybody needs those platforms.
I definitely agree with both of you in terms of the exposure that we give to undergraduates. Maybe the sooner we start training them, giving them that awareness, the better. And of course, education never ends. It's a lifelong journey. So even as we practice, there will be newer technologies and newer innovation that comes in and all. But I think there's this whole journey about awareness to practice to mastery. So I'm hoping through this webinar and through this AYDA journey as well, that we can at least start from the awareness bit and then slowly move people into practicing and of course the mastering of the subject matter. So I'm just curious, because obviously I'm not trained like you guys in your field. So what are the burning, like top tier burning negative impact that you see that buildings have caused to the environment? I know there are many, but which ones are your main concern that's top of your mind? Yeah, Sanem maybe can go first. Yeah, like what's like burning in your mind that you hope we can change for the environment when we are building something? Yeah.
Well, actually, unfortunately, buildings have a share in many problems that we are seeing right now. For example, well, it starts from fossil fuel uses, water pollution, mostly climate change and human health also. We are at our houses, in order to heat and also cool our houses, we are mostly using fossil fuels or derivatives. And if we don't keep the temperature we want inside of our house, that means we are either warming up the sky or cooling up the sky. And that's not possible. We keep using the energy, and we also create air pollution. And at the same time, if we don't protect our buildings, they will lose their strength ahead of their lifetime. That means material depletion comes to the fields as a very big problem. Land use and contamination comes to the field as a very big problem. And also, again, human health and climate change is affected by the buildings.
Thank you, Sanem. Harshika, how about you? What is on top of your mind whenever we talk about this sort of like a negative impact of urbanization and buildings towards the environment?
Yeah, I think a few of the points we've already touched, like energy consumption. We know that buildings generally account for a significant portion of the global energy consumption, and the operation side of it for the heating, cooling, lighting, and powering all the appliances. We rely heavily on these energy sources, many of which are derived in fossil fuels. We don't have clean grids everywhere, right? And we are in the moment of transition, but not everywhere. So we are very wary of that fact, and we know we need to reduce energy consumption as designers. But there's a second side of it we're also overlooking for a long time, but now there's a lot of conversation around it, which is embodied carbon, the carbon that is stored inside the materials of the buildings. How do you reduce that? How do you ensure that you have a supply chain that's just clean in general? And materials that you're sourcing are more conscious of the amount of energy that goes in producing them. I think these are a couple of topics largely that we are looking at. And the project, of course, I think tackling those challenges have to be done at a very, very smaller scale. And we're also aware of that. And that's where architects and designers come in. Also planners, I think a lot of these driving changes happen when there's a change in policy, maybe at state level or at federal level, and we can get the governments on board to start applying and enforcing some level of energy codes or some level of requirements for the developers, for the architects, where they require them to make it comfortable for the occupants inside, and also ensure that there's a reduction in the operational energy and there's a reduction in the embodied energy. So I think a lot of it goes hand in hand, but it needs to be tackled one step at a time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with tackling things one step at a time. Like I'm not sure both of you are familiar with AYDA Awards, but AYDA's been around for 15 years, and we've been raising socially conscious designers, hoping that they can be involved in, of course, not just policy making, but the education and empowerment. And I think most importantly, what most architects, designers, and also developers are involved is in that conscious decision that we make when we are trying to build something new. I love what one of our judge from India, his name is Ravi, architect Ravi, used to say, not everything about architecture is about stripping nature down and just to build something anew. It's about collaborating with nature and then including nature as part of our design. And I think this is definitely the topic they were talking about, because I think it's about inviting nature to become part of what we do instead of, you know, solely destroying what we have, you know. So I'm very passionate about this. I used to work for WWF, so this conversation brings me back to like 13 years ago, where I was kind of like a policy maker. I was doing a lot of outreach and education program for the Malayan tigers and environment in Malaysia, where we helped in doing a lot of education and policy work. Oh my God, this is bringing me back like goosebumps. So that led me to maybe Harshika can walk us through what you've been working on, and then we'll see you know, how we can leverage on the research and all the efforts that we've put in to help bring what I mean from awareness to practice for those who are watching this webinar. Yeah, Harshika, over to you first.
Sure. I'm just going to show a few projects that I've worked on during my time here. One of the, I think a few tools and a few workflows that we have utilized here are looking at CFD modeling, which is basically understanding the airflow around the building and trying to see if we can naturally ventilate it and not depend on active systems. I think that's one key way of reducing energy consumption. And for that, what we do is like this example of this project is in this is the New York Times building, and we were trying to understand if urban downtowns can be naturally ventilated, like especially towers like these. And we were looking at like one floor level, trying to understand what the natural ventilation potential is. So we have to analyze the climate, and you look at the thermal comfort during that climate period. These are all things that are developed on tools like Ladybug. You can also generally use Climate Consultant if you need a more watered down version of it. If you don't want to do like an in-depth analysis and you want a quick result, you can use tools like that, which are very handy. And we also try to understand what the wind direction is, what the wind speeds are like. And out of that analysis, we were able to iterate on a few options, try to test them. So what you're seeing on the screen is, I would say, like a graph that gives you an idea of all the places that are blue are cooler, because they might have buildings there, or they might have some kind of obstruction that is blocking the wind from passing over there. But then all the reddish zones are hot, not hotter in general, but have more wind flowing through them. So you have like a spectrum going from blue to red about the wind flow. And in this case, we were able to redistribute our windows and also redistribute some of our elevator shafts to enable a better flow of air inside that floor plate. So these are some key analysis you can do using the kind of workflows I'm talking about. You could, as I mentioned, you could utilize the tools that are there, or you could also, there are more tools out there, but you can do a little bit of research online and try to see what fits you best based on your previous knowledge. This is another project that I did where we're just looking at a facade. So I think one good thing about undergraduate studies is you get to innovate so much. So you can create very interesting facades if you want to. And that's like, I'm sure in AYDA, you've had some very amazing projects with students. And I think that I wanted to focus something, I wanted to focus on tensile facades particularly. So I was looking at this kind of innovative, all-encompassing, or like maybe fins that I can apply on. And again, this project was in Delhi during my undergraduate period, but then I was like, okay, now I'm a graduate working inside the climate responsive design space. So I might as well go back and analyze how consciously did I even design, like how does my building perform? And that's where I sort of like gave a second life to this project. And I did a small, actually the tools that are used here are Climate Consultant and Climate Box for this project. There's some Ladybug being used also on the side, and Climate Studio, but largely it's like simple tools that give you quick results. And this is one of the psychrometric charts, which can get a little complex to understand. I know that. But what it tells me on Climate Consultant is directly, okay, these are the best strategies to move with. And that's what I required at that time. And I clearly understand, since it's in Delhi, it's a very, there are high, I would say, there are hotter days, so you need more cooling strategies there rather than heating strategies. And that was the whole idea, that I picked one block, I tried to analyze it in different positions, see if I can reduce the use of material in my building. And even through like simply orienting it differently, if there are shadows falling from nearby blocks, can I just remove the need for the facade kind of details that block the sunlight entirely? So this was one way of thinking consciously how to reduce materials. And I was also trying to understand how much radiation is falling on the block, to understand how much sunlight is actually passing through. And then earlier, as an undergrad, not knowing the best way to design, I had put in like full glass windows and then put a tensile facade on it. But here I had the opportunity to redesign. So I reanalyzed how much the wall window ratio should be. And especially in our climate in Delhi, should I go for like 85% or 60% here or 40%? These kind of different wall window ratios, what performs best, and analyzed it on the basis of lighting. Because one key issue here was that this is an exhibition hall, it needs to maintain natural light throughout, and it needs to be designed in such a way that the exhibit halls remain well lit, but also avoid glare. So this is another climate studio analysis that I'd done. As you can see, when you move from 60% to 40%, the green area reduces. So that is the spatial daylight autonomy throughout the year. That's a technical term. We'll give you some definition of it on the side. But it basically gives you an idea of how much sunlight there is throughout the year. And as you can see, when the green reduces, that means the innermost region in the room does not have light throughout the year, in short. And we can still see on the yellow areas, this is the glare. So we reduced the glare in 40%, but we also lost some of the light. So it's always a balance between the decisions you're making. You cannot go completely on one side where you are doing, okay, I'm going to do climate responsive design, but I'm not going to take care of the occupants inside. So you have to ensure that the design decisions are balanced in that sense. And then we thought about, okay, if this is what is happening, how can we take 40% wall window ratio, but increase the light in the inner area? We ended up adding a horizontal light shelf that increased the reflectivity of the light that is coming inside. And then voila, back again, we had light throughout the year, but we had reduced glare considerably. And then we started looking at vertical systems versus all-encompassing systems. Now it's starting to look deeper into design. And these were like the two main I would say, designs that I had for the tensile facade. So I was thinking about doing vertical fence or doing these full-on diamond-shaped tensile facade, which actually have some separation in between them so that they can let the light in, more indirect light, which is obviously kind of better for the people. And then we do like smaller analysis in terms of like, what does it look like inside? So how much light do we have inside the room? If there's going to be really, I'd say, glary light at the bottom, like you can see in the pinkish zones. So through the window, you can see you're getting a lot of light in. So again, between the two, we could see we're reducing glare more in the vertical fence. We're not reducing as much glare here. So that's why I went forward with the vertical fence. So it's like throughout the process, as you can see, you're making decisions based on the different alternatives you have. You're iterating on them. You're changing sizes, dimensions. And this is all like a designer's work.
Yeah.
And you can reduce consumption a lot by just designing consciously here. I done some analysis on the energy use intensity later on, but I think just to be wary of the time, I'm going to stop it here.
No, I think it's great. No, a few things I've caught. Maybe Sanem can add on as well. So what I really like is you mentioned from a surface level and then all the way to in-depth, and then we can choose the kind of tools that's suitable for us at that point, whether we are a student or whether we are practicing. And I think what you do will reflect on the importance of what Sanem does as well, in terms of, you know, if, for example, if Harshika were to know more about what Sanem works on when you were an undergraduate, and I think the outcome will be a lot more different. And then when it comes to the graduate level, that it will become even more exciting. This is how I see it from an observer. And another thing is, I really like the word that you use, Harshika. I think that resonates with me very well, is that consciousness, that you're conscious that you want to bring a solution. That's why it led to so many simulation, so many hypotheses and trials and errors, right? On how these a slight change in terms of the diamond shaped tensils or to a full vertical surface, the ratio of windows and walls. And if more and more designers, even at an undergraduate level, can start playing with these things, you know, the outcome would be, you know, everyone reduce 1%, and that is great. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And another word that I came out is when I read, when I look at your work, is that there is a spectrum, how we balance between climate and comfort. And then I think what you share, I don't know about others, but it gives me a very clear perspective of your work and how your work can impact how designers work. And I could be wrong as well. I think what a lot of what you do is also the relationship of the building with the environment. And I think Sanem can come in now to talk about how insulation can then complement Harshika's work between the relationship of buildings and environment. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. Thanks, Harshika, for sharing. We'll come back to you on your work. Sanem, what do you think about Harshika's work so far?
Well, that's that's absolutely amazing. We need those kind of architects in the field, actually, because, you know, because of the climate crisis and everything, we have to think about what we are doing, actually, like take the advantage of everything, all the renewable sources, all the real sources, take the advantage of everything and build our buildings accordingly.
Yeah. Sanem, can I get you to share about your work? And I would like to see how your work can potentially synergize with Harshika's work. And then we can create a whole new world of spectrum, you know, a solution for people around the world. Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah. Who knows, Sanem and Harshika might become colleagues in the future.
Sure.
Over to you, Sanem.
Okay. All right. Let me first start with a brief introduction of my company, Betek. Betek has been established in 1988 to work on the field of construction chemicals. But right now, Betek is the pioneer company on paints and ethics sector in Turkey with all these brands you see on the screen. Well, we are actually in many business segments. We have many products in architectural coatings, both for home solutions and also for professional solutions. We have products for industrial coatings. We have products for wood coatings. We are a full producer of ethics, and also we have auxiliary products classified as beyond coatings. We have we have 6 company production facilities in Turkey. We have Gebze 1 facility, and we produce mostly paint products. In Gebze 2 facility, we produce dry mortars and EPS, which is actually an insulation facility. And we have a similar facility in Kayseri, producing again dry mortars and EPS. We are producing again dry mortars in Rize, and our stone wool production is located in the city of Balıkesir. We also have a construction paint production in Egypt too. Well, ethics and Betek. So Betek, in terms of ethics, has one of the biggest production capacity and capability. Here from this picture, you can see that ethics consists of many products directly applied on top of each other. And we are producing most of these products. We have a world-scale product portfolio, full coverage multi-brand strategy. We have more than 20 years of experience for ethics. We are the power horse of the market, and also we take ethics as a social responsibility. So what does it mean, and what is the result of this approach is are those numbers actually. We take thermal insulation as a social responsibility and we change, well, actually we calculate all these numbers yearly and we are publishing these results. What we say is by the year of 2023, in 20 years, with a net sale of more than 235 million meters square, we could achieve to provide comfortable life to 9.5 million people. As a result of energy savings, natural gas, which costs 65 billion Turkish liras, is also saved. And also, from the environmental point of view, 28 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent greenhouse gas is emitted. This is equal to 21 times the annual carbon dioxide absorption of Bolu forest, which is one of the biggest forests in Turkey. Okay, energy and climate. So let's start with these issues. As you know, the main actions and everything actually started with Paris Climate Agreement. 195 countries agreed that we have to do something. It's becoming late. After signing the agreement in 2016, European Commission published many targets. The main target is to achieve a carbon neutral Europe by the year of 2050. In order to achieve this target, they introduced first the 2020 targets and then the 2030 targets. After achieving the 2020 targets, European Green Deal, which is a set of policy initiatives, has been introduced by the European Commission. By the year of 2021, the climate package, which is named as Fit for 55, has been introduced and the targets of 2030 has been revised. The ultimate goal is actually to transform every house into a zero energy building and have a carbon neutral climate by 2050. So Green Deal is a newly defined growth strategy of EU and it has many targets. The scope of the Green Deal is very broad, but as you can see here, buildings have a very big share. The reason is here actually, because the buildings are responsible for more than 40% of the energy consumed and more than 36% of energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. These amounts, these percentages are really huge. We know, and it's also published by EU, that up to 60% of energy savings can be achieved with thermal insulation. It's also published by EU that thermal insulation is the key for a sustainable future. Then what is thermal insulation? Thermal insulation is actually an application that is applied outside of your building to prevent the heat losses from your buildings. You can see from this picture that heat losses occur at different percentages in each part of the structure. A building's facade is normally the largest surface area between its internal and external environment, where a great number of heat loss can occur. Thermal insulation of the external walls from the outside is an efficient way of protecting against the thermal energy loss, and it provides healthy and comfortable spaces to the users. Okay, ethics. We use ethics and we say that it's thermal insulation, but actually, let me tell you the long name. Ethics actually the abbreviation for external thermal insulation composite systems. But actually, it is a set of elements consisting of prefabricated components being applied directly to the facade. Here you can see the components of an ethics system. First, we have an adhesive here to glue all the system to the facade. Then we have the thermal insulation board, either EPS or stone wool. We have anchors applied, and then the base coat is applied with a glass fiber mesh embedded inside the base coat. And finally, the ethics system is finished with the finishing coat. Exterior paint is not included in the ethics system. Well, the quality and the durability of ethics depend on the careful choice of the system component. and it is also important of the system holders with their certification. Well, we just mentioned about how an efficient way it is for energy savings. It's one of the best methods to prevent heat losses. Ethics creates healthy houses with thermal comfort. It improves the energy efficiency of an entire building. The application is relatively easy. It doesn't need people to move out. And finally, an aesthetic upgrade, also with the renovation chance of the buildings, can be achieved with ethics application. Just to give an idea of an ethics system, like what might be the properties of an ethics system, here you can see the portfolio of our pioneer brand Dalmaçyalı. So Dalmaçyalı has 4 innovative ethics systems and system products. The ideal carbon system here includes cement-based products. This is our standard system. Double carbon system has very innovative products. The properties of adhesive, the EPS board, base coat, and also the finishing coat, all are special products for themselves. And as a system, it has, for example, 5 times higher impact resistance. The stone wool system includes specially designed products for stone wool boards. The products of organic system is another segment because all the other systems are cement-based, but this system includes organic products which are ready to use with very high durability and very easy application. I just want to show you these systems just to give an idea what might be the properties of an ethics system. And the finishing coat meets with the exterior paint in the end, it's aesthetics. I think this is the most important part, both for homeowners and for the designers, the architects. So, well, actually, it might be very easy. I want to show you a cement-based, easily workable product with which you can easily obtain these aesthetic appearances. Well, obviously, it lies in the hands of your masters and also in the architect's mind. For example, you can use this product both in the inside of the building or at the outside of the building to create these aesthetic look. Or in the details of the building, you can create very nice views. For example, again, the same texture used inside of the building and on the outside of the building, but definitely they have different views, different looks. Just by applying vertically or horizontally, the appearance of the building changes. Also, when you want to create a cozy area at your garden or inside of your house, you can directly apply those kind of products, which are really very easy to apply. And also, this is a very special product. It has some shiny particles inside it. You can change the color of your exterior paint and you can easily get very shiny details on your building. But of course, the brick effect. I guess we keep seeing the brick effect all the time, and actually personally I love these look, both inside and outside of our buildings. So you can easily obtain these look by using the new generation products. Instead of using the real bricks, you can easily get the real looking brick effect by using the new generation product. And also, last but not least, we are using the Nippon Paint brand as our premium quality coating brand. Under Nippon Paint brand, we also have different textures. For example, here, you can see a concrete look, or here you can see the wood effect. Well, actually, we are thinking that it's pretty tough job to obtain these effects, right? But actually, it's not a very tough job. These are the tools that we are giving our masters to get all those textures. Well, these tools actually are in the back of all the masters all over the world. These are the easiest tools, and they can easily get those textures by using the tools they have in their bags. Well, going back to the subject of energy efficiency, we talked about Green Deal and we talked about the effect of buildings. Here also you can see a couple of documents published by European Commission emphasizing the importance of buildings. Many documents have been published and the guidelines for renovation wave has been stated. As a result, a very big campaign, which is called Renovate Europe, has started. All countries are planning according to their national targets, their national requirements, and start their own Renovate, name of the country, campaign. So if we come to Turkey, we signed Paris Climate Agreement in 2021, but in Turkey, we still have more than 70% of our houses without thermal insulation. The cost for energy is increasing day by day all over the world, and it's not very easy to show the benefits of ethics immediately. So we have a high potential, very low awareness, and hard convincing. So in order to create demand, we have many projects in the field. Thermal Camera Roadshow has a very big budget, a very big effort covering all over Turkey. With this project, our colleagues are visiting buildings one by one, taking their thermal camera shots and show the residents how they are losing their energy. In this project, more than 50,000 buildings have been visited during 3 years, and we have a huge potential with legally authorized info at our system. Another roadshow was Double Carbon Roadshow. We planned this roadshow to explain the properties of our innovative system, Double Carbon system. According to the plan, we visited 23 cities, contacting with more than 800 dealers and workers. Another project to increase awareness is Dalmaçyalı Energy Saving Analysis Report. It's a software to analyze the energy saving of that special building after ethics application. It also offers the suitable insulation thickness based on the climate of the address of the building. So our project has won the gold medal in Nippon's Global Marketing Conference in 2022 in the category of New Marketing Innovation for Non-Paint and Coating. We are also supporting the activities of Verimdash. This is an association that works for the energy efficiency of the building. With the Anatolia meetings, we could reach public authorities of the cities visited. This project also won the gold medal in Nippon's Global Marketing Conference in 2022 in the category of positive change. So last but not least is our recent project, the effect of ethics on human health project. We have been talking about creating comfortable life inside of the buildings after ethics application. Well, in this project, we prepared 2 identical small houses, one with thermal insulation and the other one without thermal insulation. We had many sensors, many measurement devices inside and outside of these houses. In this project, we worked with 2 consultants. One is responsible from the measurements, Professor Dr. Miktat Kadıoğlu from Istanbul Technical University. And the other consultant is Professor Dr. Bülent Karadağ. Bülent Karadağ is a medical doctor, and he is responsible of analyzing the health effects in this project. This is a long-term project, and we are publishing seasonal results of this project. So I just want to summarize what we are doing actually for ethics, and with all these, I'm just giving a small break.
Thank you, Sanem, for sharing. I don't know, I find what you both of you do is very interesting. Hear me out, hear me out. So, you know, when developers develop a piece of building or like an ecosystem or whatever, urban part, there's always the macro consideration, you know, all the climate change, all the climate around me, the environment around me. So I think there are like 3 situations here. The first one is there's a very ethical company that has the time to think about all the climate consideration Harshika presented and has all the budget to include ethics. So you have the perfect environment, and you have the perfect insulation. And then those who have no consideration for climate, and climate became an afterthought. So they use ethics to improve insulation, so it leads to the reduction of energy consumption. Then the last ones, which have no consideration for the climate and no budget for ethics, which is the majority of buildings that we have built in the past, right? So, oh my God, I think like both of you should work together. I don't know how, but I think you guys should totally work together. What do you think, Harshika, about Sanem's work?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting innovation. I think when I was studying about thermal bridging during my small internship in summer, I was doing with Handel Architects. It was sustainability fellowship where I was researching on thermal bridging. We were looking at different building assemblies and different construction styles and trying to understand how we can make these kind of construction details more efficient. And what Sanem just showed us was an example of an external system, which gives you an opportunity to create a continuous line around your building instead of having it break after a wall and then there's a slab in between and then you again have a break. So those kind of breaks are inefficient points. And this kind of system is definitely gives you an upper hand in kind of tackling that challenge. And I would love to know the background behind ethics, like how did they come up with the solution? What were the challenges they were trying to focus on? Or is this more of like an advantage that came up later on? Or was this like an initial thought when they were designing this kind of system?
Well, actually, when we are designing the ethics, for sure we thought about that, because when we have those bridges, like we call them thermal bridges, when we have those thermal bridges, then ethics does not work properly. We keep losing the energy from those thermal bridges. That's why we always recommend people to apply all the ethics boards to apply it side by side without having any even small area. And that's going to cause thermal bridge, and it's not going to work. It's not going to make the whole ethics system work properly. Again, we will lose the heat or the cool air from inside.
So it's
actually that's a very good question, by the way.
So it's since day one that ethics system have make sure that there's no thermal breach, right? So that's quite cool.
Exactly. Yeah. There shouldn't be any space, like even in 1 millimeter of space is going to cause thermal breach. That's why every board should sit side by side without any any space in small area.
But what I really like about what both of you guys did as well in your respective presentation was, Harshika, when you are designing, when you're analyzing climate, you never gave up on the aesthetic bits. And you never gave up on the comfort bit. And I love how Sanem also paid attention to what the industry needs, because you know, like climate consideration shouldn't mean that we have to sacrifice aesthetics. And I think Sanem's presentation brought up the fact that we can be pretty and also climate friendly. I think generally, you know, like from an outsider point of view, we would always think going climate friendly means we have to give up a lot of things. But from Sanem's presentation and Harshika's simulation, we know that, you know, it simply creates a more conscious decision-making process. It doesn't mean that we're sacrificing the aesthetics of the buildings that we built, which is wonderful. I have a question for both of you. So both of you did simulation and you did work for countries with four, you know, with the four climates, the four seasons, right? Of summer, winter, spring, autumn. I live in Malaysia. It's extremely hot and humid here. And I happen to live in an apartment that I have 180 degrees of floor to wall glass panel. And I'm like, after listening to you guys, I'm like, oh my God, I'm spending so much energy trying to cool down my apartment. And the apartment faces the east, so that's where the sun is the hottest in the morning. And then I'm like, guys, this is opportunity, man. Not just in the US, not just in Europe, but I think the whole of Asia, you know, with global warming and then average temperatures going up, I think there's so much potential to bring your work, whether you commercialize it, you commoditize it, and Sanem, you bring it, you know, through the Nippon Paint network, bring it to Asia, because I think this part of the world needs it. Southeast Asia, this part of the world needs it. Yeah, oh my God, thank you guys. And I love the
Well,
fact that,
actually,
yeah, sorry, Sanem, you were saying.
well, actually, we are also creating awareness in the hot climates too. People are thinking that ethics is for cold climates, just to avoid the cold weather outside, but it actually works vice versa. Because you are cooling down your apartment and you don't want to lose that cool air, right? You don't want hot air to come inside, and then you don't want to feel uncomfortable. That's why ethics works in both ways, both for hot climates and both for cold climates.
Yeah, thanks, Sanem, for explaining that. Yeah, I totally resonate. I think this part of the world needs it a lot. Yeah. So I'm just curious, Harshika, now that you've graduated, what's your next step? Will you be going deeper into what you're currently doing, or are you looking at exploring something else? Yeah.
I think in my current alternatives, I was looking to introduce some level of policy application that I could work on, and I will be working with the city of Boston as a sustainability design reviewer, and hopefully making better decisions and helping architects make better decisions in that sense. Yeah, so the role is defined. I know what I'm going into, and it's more looking at the entire building stock of the city. It doesn't just specifically look at one building. So I will also be looking at if buildings can be more ambitious in terms of applying for certifications, looking at different levels of metrics that they're looking at, maybe energy efficiency, and looking at materials. Are they looking at the comfort of their occupants? So thinking about all of that holistically, building by building, but for the entire city. So it's a very exciting challenge. It's a different, I mean, it's not only at building level, it's kind of scaling up and thinking about an urban challenge. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Thanks, Harshika. No, I'm asking this because I find it really exciting for both of you, whether it's from a policy level, education level, or from Sanem from a business point of view. We are not, for example, if I get it right, Turkey itself, we are looking at transforming potentially 17 million houses to make them more energy efficient, insulation friendly. I think that alone would have been a big step in terms of battling climate change. So, so what I really think is, I think doing good for the environment doesn't mean by losing out on commercial values. I'm hoping through, I think through this webinar, we are showing people that there are many ways of fighting climate change in our own way, from education, from simulation, to policy making, to even large business decision making, doesn't have to sacrifice Mother Nature. And I think that is one very important lesson I would like everyone watching this to learn, that be it you're a student, be it you are a researcher, be it you are a product supervisor, be it you are someone like me who doesn't speak design at all, we can all play our role in battling climate change. So with that, I'd like to thank Sanem and Harshika for your time, sharing your knowledge and your expertise and your efforts to the AYDA community. Our students and lecturers from all around the world would be so happy, and I'm sure whatever you shared would have been very useful for them, be it their current work or be it their future work. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, Brandon and Sanem, for your time, and also to Nippon in general for sponsoring part of my education here. So I'm really grateful for that and extreme gratitude.
Yeah, Sanem, any last words?
I also would like to thank you for this very nice webinar. I just want to say that we need architects like Harshika that are thinking about global warming and using every energy source logically in the buildings and in every part of the world. So thank you for your work, Harshika.
And we definitely need more companies to start thinking about their impact, and Sanem's work shows exactly that. Batek's work is exactly about that, the impact of the insulation on the buildings, how to reduce it, and also in general how to design the systems consciously. So really appreciate that effort in that direction.
I think living in a capitalistic world, having big companies leading the act of going green does speed up how policymakers make decisions. So I think this is definitely a win-win. We should all be in touch, please, and we'll see how we can make the world a better place. So for that, signing off, thank you everyone for once again joining AYDA's webinar. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So again, I'll point back to the word that has been given to me. I'll say it's empathy.
I thought architecture is just about buildings and design, but AYDA taught me that architecture is more than that.
Any level you're in, like beginners or professionals, like what you've known will never be enough.
Lúc em thi thì em sẽ cống hiến hết mình, và khi mà lúc em đã thi xong rồi thì em cũng sẽ có một vài lời nhắn nhủ đến các bạn chuẩn bị tham gia cuộc thi này, là thì các bạn cứ tự tin mạnh mẽ lên và cứ chú tâm nghiên cứu vào bài của mình.
I learned to work with professional interior design and learn how to improve my skill more.
The most important thing for me is believe yourself.
Believe in what you love to do in designing.
Creating something and designing something is actually just for people.
I meet so much people in here with different background. We came from a long way, and I think that it just broadened my path through design perspective.
So this was a wonderful exchange of ideas for me as a designer, and I think I grew from that.
So again, I'll point back to the word that has been given to me. I'll say it's empathy.
I thought architecture is just about buildings and design, but AYDA taught me that architecture is more than that.
Any level you're in, like beginners or professionals, like what you've known will never be enough.
Lúc em thi thì em sẽ cống hiến hết mình, và khi mà lúc em đã thi xong rồi thì em cũng sẽ có một vài lời nhắn nhủ đến các bạn chuẩn bị tham gia cuộc thi này, là thì các bạn cứ tự tin mạnh mẽ lên và cứ chú tâm nghiên cứu vào bài của mình.
I learned to work with professional interior design and learn how to improve my skill more.
The most important thing for me is believe yourself.
Believe in what you love to do in designing.
Creating something and designing something is actually just for people.
I meet so much people in here with different background. We came from a long way, and I think that it just broadened my path through design perspective.
So this was a wonderful exchange of ideas for me as a designer, and I think I grew from that.